Okay, quick one. I want to chat briefly about C-class assets in B-class cities and why you don't fucking want them. So let's say you've got a large metropolitan area, good things happening in the city, projecting growth, all that sort of stuff. GDP is excellent and growing, and population is growing at a normal rate, not like what most of Canada is right now, which is growing way too fast. But let's say all of those things are lined up and you want to purchase a detached property. And let's say in an established neighborhood, B-class neighborhood, something, either built in the 1960s or 1980s as far as neighborhood goes. You find a 1970s or 80s, whatever, bungalow, and normal prices for those things are about $400,000, give or take. For a good shape, don't need to do a whole lot except for paint some things, maybe spruce up a few things. Bungalow, 400 G's. And let's say you happen to find a detached in a not so good neighborhood, or maybe near that neighborhood, and you pay $200,000 for it. You almost certainly have a C-class asset. If you happen to have a paid advisor of any kind who tells you that's a good idea, they're fucking lying to you. They are straight up lying to you. If they tell you anything, if they say the word passive with respect to anything C-class, even B-class, but definitely C-class, they're lying. They're not stretching the truth. They're not leaving out some details. They're not massaging the way it really is. They're fucking lying, okay? They are doing nothing but taking money from your pocket and putting it into theirs. That's it. Those are not passive assets. Those are not assets for new people under any circumstances. If you want to get punched in the face 30 times and lose money, or get punched in the face 50 times and maybe break even, but over a longer time period, buy a C-class asset. It's exceptionally hands-on. You don't do well in that asset class without time inputs. If you're looking for, there's no such thing as passive real estate. Not truly passive. But if you are looking for low time input, C-class isn't it. It never fucking will be. Like, not ever. Nobody operates C-class without being hands-on successfully. People operate C-class without being hands-on, and they turn into D-class. And they have shitty tenants. They post on forums, 3, 4, 5 times a year they're evicting people. Holy fucking hell, is that high touch point. And so if anybody, there is no way, if somebody tells you to buy C-class for 200 grand on $250 a month cash flow, and if that's a paid advisor, they are fucking crooked. Like, shady is a $3 bill, because where I'm at, to get a plumber to walk in the door is about $150. That's walking in the door. That's no parts. That's no warranty, like whatever this and that. That's no after hours upcharge. That's no, like, fucking nothing. That's hello, $150. $250 as you move from B to C class, and as you move from higher initial purchase price to lower initial purchase price, your carrying expenses with respect to repair and maintenance, vacancies, evictions, all those sort of things go up, not down. You might have paid less for the asset, but you will pay more to operate it. I assure you, over the long term, over a large group of assets, that's true. There is no way that you should be buying a C-class asset on $3,000 a year cash flow if you were going to hold that for any longer than about 6 months, maybe a year, tops. There's no way to replace a furnace for less than about $4 grand, maybe $4,500. That's very, very cheap these days, depending on the size of the house and all that sort of stuff, obviously. But if you're buying a C-class asset for 200 grand, it's probably a smaller house, probably something like wartime maybe. And so you don't really need a massive furnace, but you also don't have fucking insulation. So you might. So $4,500 based off the square footage is probably still going to be a fucking cold house if it's January and it's Western Canada. And so to do that on $3,000 a year cash flow, you don't have to line up too many visits to fix a sink or replace a furnace or fix some flooring or replace a few light switches or fix a tap, all that sort of, like, just regular fucking stuff. Wartime house has probably got a bunch of old elms out front of it, maybe some poplar trees. They like to grow through things like walls and sewers. There is no way to operate a C-class asset on $3,000 a year cash flow. It's fucking fiction. If your advisor tells you to do that, run. Like, fucking run. The only people that are saying that's a good idea have never done it. They've never tried to do it. They're not going to try and do it. They are getting money from you or trying to get money from someone else who is going to read a post saying that's a good idea and think, oh, that person knows what a good idea is. Maybe I should hire them as my coach. That's a fucking bad idea. Quit buying C-class assets. Quit buying C-class assets on essentially a cell phone bill worth of cash flow every fucking month and thinking that you're going to actually make money. Like, this is not Alice in Wonderland. Like, you can take as much acid as you want and you will not cash flow that fucking thing. There's no way over the long term that will happen. And banking on only appreciation, so like even assuming the best, in which that would be cash flow neutral, and banking on the appreciation of that C-class area that's next to the B-class area that should improve over time, you need to understand that for a C-class area of town, so I'm talking several blocks, to improve to a B-class takes fucking decades. I don't know how many decades you want to hold that place for, but something that's cash flow neutral and deteriorating as far as the building, like the lifespan of the building goes, to hold that for 30 or 40 years sounds to me like a slow death. I would rather spoon my fucking eyes out. There is just, especially when you insert, if you're going to manage that yourself, which generally speaking, coaches that are promoting that sort of thing are encouraging you to manage yourself because there's no fucking cash flow, so you can't afford to pay anybody for it. If you're going to manage that yourself, you need to understand you're going to get punched in the face, quite potentially literally, by tenants repeatedly. Like, they're going to, C-class tenants move in and do C-class things, and they bring their D-class friends overwards, and if you don't have your hands on that place many times annually, probably multiple times monthly, your property goes from a C-class property to a D-class property, and pretty soon it's worth absolutely fuck all. It's a knockdown. And so quit buying that shit. Quit believing people when they tell you $200 a month cash flow is perfectly fine. It's fucking fiction. Never gonna happen. You will never break even on that. You will lose money, I assure you. That's it. Have a good one.